Welcome to this tutorial about how to engage doctors with webinars. I'm Dr. Vicki Rackner, your host. Today we'll be addressing one of the most pressing questions that you yourself might have asked. How do I get in front of more doctor prospects? While we'll be talking about webinars today, I think that you'll find that the information in this tutorial can be applied to any marketing campaign. Further, we'll also address what's actually working in 2018 to help you acquire more doctor clients. I want to recognize that you're investing your most precious resource, your time, by participating in this tutorial today. And you're doing this for a reason. What is your dream? What kinds of personal or professional or financial goals are you hoping to achieve? It's my hope that the information that you'll take away today will help you get there. Specifically, you will leave with an understanding of the medical marketing mindset most likely to lead to success, elements of successful marketing campaigns, whether it's webinars or other campaigns, and some tips for flawless execution. Here are some ways in which this tutorial might be different than others that you've attended. First, you'll get insider secrets about the world of medicine from a doctor. Second, you'll learn about doctors and their relationship with money. Third, I represent the voice of your prospects. And fourth, our intentions are aligned. Both of us are here to help more doctors be more successful. This is important information because most marketing advice is dead wrong. Physicians are immune to conventional marketing messages, and physicians have acute financial pain. They need you now, so you can stand out by offering true financial leadership. You're in the right place if you're a veteran in the medical market and you want to do what's working. You're also in the right place if you have no experience and want to jump into the medical market and avoid the steep learning curve, or if you want to leverage the opportunities, or if you want to take the fastest and most direct path to success. This tutorial is not for you if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, or you want a do-nothing marketing campaign, or your primary goal is to make money. Acquiring doctor clients is hard work and it takes dedication. In the spirit of full disclosure, I'll remind you that you're about to get marketing ideas from a doctor who's never sold any financial products or services. Further, I've made many costly marketing mistakes. So why in 2017 was I able to help financial advisors increase their assets under management by tens of millions of dollars? Well, I help them avoid costly mistakes. I also offer them my secret sauce, characterizing the differences between the world of medicine and the world of business. And while you're able to go onto my website and see testimonials, unfortunately, I cannot promise any results. I do not know your work habits or your specific marketing challenges. Let's dig in with the first learning objective, understanding the medical marketing mindset. The most important point to take away from this tutorial is that doctors are wired differently than your business-minded clients. Let's characterize the differences. First, both kinds of people want to be successful, but the metric by which success is measured is different. For a business-minded person, it's profit. For a doctor, it's service. That means the skills that they invest in are different. They also manage resources differently. When a doctor gets a good idea, the first thing that they want to do is share it. On the other hand, a business person wants to maintain the competitive edge. Last, innovation is rewarded in the business community but resisted in the medical community. Doctors don't want to jump on a bandwagon that's going to potentially harm patients. These different groups have different buy buttons that are triggered in different ways. Jordan Belfort, the real Wolf of Wall Street, tells his own story in a wonderful video about how to sell that's up on YouTube. I highly recommend that you watch it. He said that he was licensed as a stockbroker just as the market crashed in 1980. He took a job selling penny stocks to blue-collar workers. He was very successful, but more importantly, he could help other people duplicate his success with the system. What would happen, he thought, if I sold penny stock to the affluent? So he purchased a list of affluent phone numbers, pulled out his proven system, and got no sales. Well, he thought, maybe the affluent don't like the title penny stock. Why don't I sell them $6 stocks? So he went back with his new approach, still no sales. Well, that's where most people give up, but not Jordan Belfort. He thought there must be something different about the affluent. What do they really want? So instead of selling penny stocks, he approached them with blue chip stocks. Once they had success with that, he went on to the penny stocks. Well, why do I tell you this story? It's because the transition between selling penny stocks to blue-collar workers versus selling them to the affluent is in many parts the same challenge that you face as you make a transition from acquiring business-minded prospects to doctor prospects. It's important that you understand what it is that they want, how they function, and how to influence their purchasing habits. Doctors behave like tropical fish. They tend to group together and travel together under the direction of a leader. So the most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. One of my mentors once told me, Vicki, don't be the first person or the last person to try a new medication. Be somewhere in the middle. So doctors are always looking around and seeing what their colleagues are doing. Why do they do this? They do this for the same reason that tropical fish do it. It offers protection against predators, and doctors know that there are lots of predators and that they are easy financial prey. So let's say you wanted to bring the idea of a cash balance plan to a prospect. A business-minded person would say, show me the money. The very first thing a doctor would want to know is, are you one of us? A business-minded person is ready to spring into action when the finances make sense. However, with doctors, it takes repeated exposure to your message before the doctors take action. When I asked my clients, how many contacts did you have with your doctor prospects before they became clients? On average, it was between 7 and 9 contacts. On the other hand, when one doctor told another doctor about an investing opportunity, the doctor was often right on board. The most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. With all these challenges, then, why work with doctors? The answer? This is where the money and the opportunities are. Here are some mean annual incomes of physicians. We know that half of doctors today are behind in retirement planning, and only half are working with professional financial advisors. Further, doctors have acute financial pain. You can do well by doing good. Many financial advisors approach marketing like a hunter-gatherer. They want to go out and bag that next client, then go out and bag the next. Shifting to an agrarian mentality transformed human civilization, and it can transform your practice too. An agrarian mindset means that you intentionally cultivate the relationships that are going to lead to strategic growth. You build relationships with key physician opinion leaders and the right power partners. Just as farmers take part of their harvest to grow new crops, so too somebody with an agrarian mindset takes the existing physician relationships and leverages that for growth. The most fertile fields, if you will, for this kind of marketing strategy are medical associations and organizations where doctors gather. All right, well, what are the elements of success? And I don't know if you've ever heard a heartbeat, a human heart, but it goes lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. So when I think about elements of success, I always go back to that heartbeat. So whenever you engage doctors, you want to think of this heartbeat. So any encounter has two components. The first is the marketing component. And I think about marketing as just engaging somebody in a conversation. And then there's the selling component, which is inspiring somebody to take action. It's not necessarily bringing out the checkbook. So each encounter is lubbed up, marketing and selling. And then as you think about practice building, again, think about this heartbeat. So I think about marketing campaigns as sort of events under your control. It's your to-do list, exactly what you're doing to engage more doctors in conversation and getting them to take action. On the other hand, there's the sales funnel. And the sales funnel is what actions a doctor can take. So you look at this through your client's perspectives. Okay, how does the doctor first hear about me? What is the doctor's first experience with me? What's the call to action at that experience? And then what's the next step? So you actually go through the funnel that a doctor would go through as he or she makes the transition from a stranger to you, to a prospect, to a client. All right, so how do we construct successful marketing campaigns? Well, there are three kinds of marketing campaigns. First, there's relationship marketing, and that might be your marketing campaign of choice. Maybe you have a social relationship with somebody and you make a transition to a professional relationship. Second, there's the community marketing, where you become the architect of a community. So maybe you've got a group on LinkedIn that you invite doctors to. I've got an advisor who loves cigars. He's formed a cigar club for doctors. But probably the best and most effective way to launch marketing campaigns is to offer educational marketing, where you build relationships by delivering high-value educational content. So, if you want to conduct business with doctors, conduct yourself as one. The word doctor comes from the Latin root meaning teacher. So when you launch educational campaigns, you're essentially functioning like a doctor. So what do educational marketing campaigns look like? Well, maybe you write articles, or you deliver seminars or live presentations at medical meetings, or webinars that we're going to focus on today, or podcasts, or videos, or books, or special reports. You can take one piece of intellectual property and package it in all sorts of different ways. So as you think about educational campaign, let's just think about this grid. Okay, so on one axis, you think about whether the doctor that you're educating is right in front of you, knee to knee, or maybe in the same room, or whether the doctor doesn't see you, that you've got some digital content that you get in front of doctors and that you're not actually there live. So if you create educational videos, you can show these videos while you're off skiing. So that's one axis. On the second axis is the way in which doctors have access to your educational content. For a seminar, doctors actually have to be at that place on a specific schedule in order to get where you are. On the other hand, doctors want, they're busy, they have unpredictable schedules, and they want to consume the content on their own schedule. So let's start putting some of this educational content in this grid. So seminars may be the single most effective marketing tool that you have. You can leverage your time. So instead of getting one-on-one with doctors, you can get in front of a room full of doctors, but the seminar happens on your schedule. All right, you can add a digital element to it. So maybe what you do is deliver a live seminar, have a video camera there, and then somebody who's in the opposite side of the state can get access to your live seminar by a virtual feed, maybe by a Facebook live stream feed or a GoToWebinar feed. When you think about webinar, you might be thinking about the typical webinar invitation that you get, join us on Thursday morning where we're going to be talking about X, Y, and Z. So it is virtual access. You actually don't have to be in the room. You get a digital feed, but it's done on the webinar host's schedule. Doctors are busy though. And so what we're finding is that more and more doctors want to consume their content on demand, on their own time schedule. And when you create digital content, something that you can send over the computer, it makes it a lot easier. So there are medical associations that host webinars. However, many of the doctors will watch the replay link of the webinar. I remember going to a surgical meeting. There was sort of a surgical superstar, and the place, like half the seats were empty. And I went to the program director and I said, where is everybody? Who in the world would want to miss this presentation? He said to me, those millennials, they know it's being taped. They want to consume it on their own time schedule. So they'll just wait until, the video is out. So on-demand content, which might include on-demand webinars or books or videos or podcasts, which are essentially webinars without the visual feed, it's just the audio feed. They all work really well. In general, there tends to be differences in marketing to different generations. So if you're targeting on boomers, they generally respond better to getting physically in a room, getting knee to knee with people. Millennials tend to respond best to on-demand content. So depending on where you want to take your practice, this is something that you might want to consider. And the real beauty of digital content is that it really does offer you more leverage. It's like comparing the bank teller and the ATM machine. Now let's talk about the 3 buckets of leads. As you go out and launch your campaign, you can get your message in front of 3 groups. The first are family, friends, and fans, people who already know you, like you, and trust you. And you can go to them and say, you might not know this about me, but I have a commitment to serving the doctors who serve the community. If you've got any doctor friends, you know that this is a tough time for them. I've got a special webinar that I'm going to be giving for doctors. Please have them contact me. I'd be happy to give them information. Your second bucket of leads are power partners. So these are people who have lists of doctors who are good fit for you. We're going to talk about who some of those power partners are a little later. The third bucket of leads are doctor information seekers. So these are the doctors who are going to seminars, who are reading publications, who might be attending your webinar because you're offering a solution to the problem that concerns them. All right, so as you think about building effective marketing campaigns, think in terms of this golden triangle. There are 4 elements that contribute to success, and sort of like a combination lock. Each of these elements has to be successful to contribute to the overall success of your marketing campaign. So, okay, so the first step here, the first element is choosing the kinds of doctors that you want to work with and really understanding them. And then you can use that insight to craft your offer. Now, this is a very busy slide from the Cracking the Physician Code course. But what it shows is different groups of doctors and what's important to them. So for example, if you want to target residents or fellows, I can tell you that what they want to know about is how in the world are they going to pay back their student loans. If you're dealing with hospital executives who, by the way, reliably earn 7 figures and tend to have a suit mindset rather than a white coat mindset, so that might be a nice target group for you. They're interested in how can they run more profitable hospitals. So if you can bring them programs that will help them be more profitable, you've got a great way of getting their attention. Now, how do you find that thing? Well, sometimes it happens by luck, by serendipity. I was on vacation and wrote this quick little blog post, The Myth of the Rich Doctor. Got back from vacation to discover that this thing had gone viral. I had invitations to go and speak. And I thought, wow, this really hit a nerve. So I expanded this into a talk and then a book. So topics that do not work include retirement planning, financial literacy. Topics that do work include taxes, the myth of the rich doctor, how to generate practice revenue, fraud and cybersecurity, things about doctors' online reputation. Also, as by the way, I will be speaking at the upcoming American Tax Planning Institute Summit in March in Los Angeles. So if you go, I hope to see you there. As you craft your content, it's important to sweat and test the small stuff. Everything counts. The title of your talk, what your invitation looks like, when you offer the program, and how frequently you invite people. So just as an example, I had a talk, 9 ways doctors can generate more revenue, and I thought that that was a pretty good topic. But what I discovered through A/B testing is that the title, 9 ways doctors let money slip through their fingers, tends to be a little more compelling. Journalists will tell you that negative titles sell. Okay, so you've got your offer, you've got your webinar. Now you want to get that webinar invitation in front of eyeballs. What most people think about is, okay, how am I going to get my hands on a list? I want to invite you to think a little differently. I want you to think in terms of platforms. So in the publishing world, platforms are your audiences. If you get on a soapbox, who is there to hear you? And as you think about webinars or any other marketing campaign for that matter, there are two choices in platforms. There is your platform, and then there is the platform of somebody else. And again, I want to emphasize that probably the most overlooked and underutilized platform are the medical associations. This is marketing gold. Virtually every doctor belongs to multiple medical associations. They attend meetings. They open the emails from the associations because these associations are so powerful. And most associations these days are offering webinars. How can you get your webinar onto an association platform? There are so many benefits of doing this. The first is the conferred credibility. They're going to market the event, they're going to send it out to their list, and they're going to manage the technology. So all you have to do is arrive and deliver some great content. They will take care of the rest. The downside is that this platform may be closed to you, and I'd like to take a little side trip to just help you understand why. When the Affordable Care Act became law, there was a small piece of this legislation called the Sunshine Act. So the government was going to be paying for more and more people's medication. They also know that the pharmaceutical industry is very effective at giving doctors things with the hope that the doctors are actually going to base their prescribing choices on the things that the pharmaceutical industry gave to them. So under the Sunshine Act, if a medical device manufacturer or a pharmaceutical company gives a doctor a gift of more than $10 in value, that doctor's name gets reported to a public database. No doctor wants their name on that database. And so the gatekeepers have been instructed to keep vendors away. They don't even want to tempt the doctors with a free lunch. Now, the Sunshine Act does not apply to you. However, pretty much anytime you want to get in front of groups of doctors, there has to be transparency about why you're delivering this. So this is one of my speaking contracts, and in it you will see that any potential conflict of interest or commercial interest or financial relationship has to be disclosed. And unfortunately, more and more associations and more platforms are closing the doors to professional financial advisors like yourself, simply because you have an inherent conflict. When I go and deliver the talk, The Myth of the Rich Doctor, I'm not trying to sell them any financial services, but you are. And so unfortunately, more and more doors are getting closed to you. That's probably the biggest difference in 2018. It's further restrictions in your access to doctors and platforms. So what can you do? Well, you can try to get around it and frame your value in a way that it makes sense for the association. So for example, you could go to the executive director and you say, we would like to deliver a presentation with the intention of helping your members avoid burnout. Why am I saying this to you? Well, executive director, you've probably taken a look at the recent Medscape report on national physician burnout and depression. You see that we're facing epidemic episode of burnout, and when doctors were asked what would reduce your burnout, it's increased compensation to avoid financial stress. Well, we are here to help doctors avoid that financial stress that leads to distracted doctoring. So ultimately, this presentation is going to help your doctors be more effective. This might work sometimes. The gatekeepers are really more skilled at figuring out how and why to say no than how and why to say yes. So your next best option is to partner with a physician. Okay, so that's somebody else's platform. So that's one option. When most people think about hosting webinars though, or seminars, they're thinking about creating their own platform. And that's certainly something that you can do. If that's the case, then you've got a number of things to think about. You've got to think about whether you want to deliver a live or an on-demand webinar. You've got to think about the length of your webinar. Is it 2 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour? And you've got to think about the time of day. And there are no right answers. The best answer for you comes from your doctor client. Say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a webinar. What do you think? How long, what kind of topic, what time of day do you think would be best? The fourth element is finding a sponsor. And as you think about hosting your educational campaigns, you might think in terms of being a one-man or one-woman show. You do it all. You craft the content, you promote it, you buy the list, you do all the marketing. But just know that there are organizations out there who would love to get in front of doctors. If you go to a medical meeting, the exhibitor hall is filled with organizations who have budgets to get in front of doctors. I know that one of my clients gave a lunch talk at a medical meeting that was sponsored by Allergan. There are large organizations that market to doctors, that have lists of doctors and prospects who might be interested in giving you support in the form of finances. Maybe they underwrite your event. Maybe they help with promotion. The other people I really want to talk about are these power partners. So again, the power partners are people who have relationships with lists of your target clients. So let me just go through and show you some of my favorites. The first and best is the executive director of a medical association. So this is the person who is charged with growing the association. This is generally not a physician. This is somebody who generally comes from the marketing side of things, but what they know is what works and what does not work in engaging doctors. So these people can be very, very helpful for you. What they also want is they want to grow their organization. So they want to get more members. They know that they can do that by delivering more value. So if you've got a great resource, you could potentially say, Executive Director, I know that you want to deliver more value. Here, please feel welcome to distribute this resource to your entire list. Or you could make an appointment with the Executive Director and just get to know them. Ask them, what are their business challenges? What are some of the struggles that they're dealing with? What kinds of initiatives are they launching this year? And then see if there's a way that you can support their success. All right, then there's CPAs and tax attorneys and estate planners who work with doctors. If you just Google CPA for doctor and your location, they will pop up. Now, building relationships with CPAs is not about taking them out to lunch and asking them to send you doctor clients. It's about asking them, what are their goals? Would they like to get more doctor clients? Is there anything that you can do to help them get more doctor clients? And maybe co-presenting a webinar with them might be a great way of doing it. Maybe they would promote it to their lists. Medical billers are great people. More and more doctors are outsourcing medical billing. The medical billers know who the top producers are. So whatever you have, a webinar or a book, you can go to them and say, would you like to provide more value to your doctors? Here, invite them to this webinar. Pass along this ebook. Pass along these videos. It's a win all around. Other great people are medical practice and disability insurance sales vendors. They're business-minded people. They've got marketing budgets. They're willing to make that investment. Vendors of electronic medical records and office supplies are great people. Bankers, brokers of doctor mortgages, and lenders to doctors are great. Theoretically, people who sell medical devices and pharmaceuticals can be good partners. I've yet to really crack that reliably yet, and if I do, I'll let you know. Medical recruiters can be great people. They know who's coming and going, and you know that people are most likely to put their money in order at beginnings, either the beginning of a new year, a birthday, or when they start new jobs. Business brokers can help you. These are people who will go in and do practice valuations and practice sales. Again, they've got lists. They might be interested in standing up by offering something of value. Realtors who sell homes to doctors can be great. Members of the Medical Group Managers Association. So there's a national association, a state association, and local. And depending on your location, they attract different kinds of people. So you can just see what's going on in your community. People who make luxury product sales are always interested in getting in front of doctors. Anyone who advertises in medical publication or who's a vendor at medical meetings have marketing budgets to get in front of doctors. So check them out, see if they can help you make your webinar or other educational campaign more successful. There are also more and more ways of promoting your webinars. So I'm just now exploring the use of Facebook. I know that LinkedIn can be very successful, but I see lots of possibilities with Facebook. So for example, here's an association of corporate physicians with 2,500 members. You can create Facebook ads in a very targeted way and theoretically put your Facebook ad in front of members of this group. As I get more and more results, I'll let you know how things are going with that. As you're building relationships with these power partners, please keep in mind something that Andrew Carnegie said: no man becomes rich unless he enriches others. So next, let's talk about some tips for flawless execution. Step number one is define your business objectives. So where would you like to take your practice? Are you looking for more time? Are you looking for more money? What's your idea of an ideal doctor client, and where are you most likely to find them? So are you looking for somebody with a high income who has a high tax liability? Are you looking for a doctor who has large numbers of assets? So depending on how you define your business goals and your financial goals, you might be interested in going after different kinds of doctors. Next, as you launch your marketing campaign, you want to define a measurable outcome. What are you hoping to achieve as a result of that marketing campaign, and how are you going to measure it? So I have a number of private coaching clients who give seminars to residents and fellows, doctors in training. One of these financial advisors is near retirement, and the reason that he wants to deliver these seminars to the residents and fellows is just a way of giving back. I mean, he's got financial security, but right now he just wants to give to others. So, you know, the way he would measure his outcome are probably the number of residents and fellows that he actually reaches. On the other hand, I have advisors who are working with residents and fellows with the hope that those residents and fellows are going to become their clients. So their metric for success is probably not the number of doctors that are in the room. It's the number of doctors who take that next step. And so what you want to do is sort of reverse engineer your presentation, whether it's a webinar or a live seminar. Entertain by telling stories. So I'm going to be delivering a talk to the surgical alum. I asked, okay, well, what do you want to hear about? And my colleague said, what I really want is something entertaining. And I knew what he meant. What he meant is he wanted to hear stories. So I said, like you want to hear about the prestigious financial institution who had to buy a doctor an annuity because he wasn't set for retirement, and they thought it was riskier for him to continue to practice than to just buy him an annuity. And the guy said, exactly, that's exactly what I want to do. So as you deliver webinars, just know that your job is not to groom junior financial advisors. You're not imparting your financial literacy. The most compelling thing that you can do is tell lots of stories that the doctor can identify with. And your presentation should build up and lead to that desired call to action. And then figure out, like, what is the next step? What do you do next if the doctor doesn't take that call to action? What is the next step if a doctor doesn't even attend the webinar? And I spared to no expense creating this visual handout, but I was working with one of my clients to figure out, okay, what is the sales funnel? How do we get people to the webinar? What happens during the webinar? What are the calls to action? And then what happens afterwards? And just very quickly, my recommendation is that all roads lead to a drip list. Get permission to stay in regular contact with doctors. That is your primary goal, because a doctor is going to convert and reach out to you on their own time schedule, over which you don't have any control. But you want to be in regular contact so that you are top of mind when they are finally ready. Also, as you're giving a webinar or a live seminar or anything, you can have multiple calls to action. Like, let's say that you have a digital book to give away. In the middle of a webinar or seminar, you can say, doctors, please may I ask you to get out your smartphone, go to this URL, and sign up right now and get a digital copy of the book. Or drop me an email and I'll send you a bibliography. So you can have multiple calls to action sort of interspersed in the content itself. Then just know that the call to action must reflect the level of earned trust that you've created. So if you deliver a 20-minute webinar, it's not realistic to think that you've built up enough trust that you can ask the doctor to make an appointment to come in with all of their tax returns and their investment statements. You haven't built up enough trust. You need to move slowly and not ask doctors to open their financial kimono unless and until you've built that level of trust. What I believe, what I've seen, is that building and nurturing your list is your highest ROI campaign. One way you can measure the growth of your practice is to measure the growth of your list. You always want to be testing and measuring. Is there something that I can do to get an even better response? And it's very, very easy to do A/B testing and see which message resonates best. Have family, friends, and fans help you. Everyone who knows doctors wants to help doctors. Have physicians and power partners help you. And position yourself as a medical insider by having a doctor on your team. So think about creating an advisory board. So doctor advisory board can help you decide, what the webinar topic is going to be. And believe me, if a doctor comes up with the topic for a webinar, they're going to be promoting that webinar to their friends and colleagues. Have a doctor introduce you if you're giving a webinar or a seminar, or have a physician make a presentation, and be generous. Always have something to give away. I know that people worry about, well, gee, if my intellectual property gets out there, it's going to be stolen. Well, nobody can steal you. Nobody can steal your unique perspective. So I say err on the side of being generous and not really worry about those wannabes. And the ultimate way to be successful is to take action. So let me get back and ask, what is your dream? Why put in all of this work? Where would you like to get to? I wish you similar success, and thank you so much for your participation. So this is sort of the end of the formal educational event, but you know me, I'm always asking myself, how can I give good financial advisors the competitive advantage? So once a year or so, I review the kinds of offerings that I have developed, and I'd just like to take a few minutes to share those with me. Please feel under no obligation to stay on the line anymore. If you go to my website, Targeting Doctors, you will see all sorts of sales and marketing solutions with different levels of investment. I really do invite you to sign up to get on the mailing list. You'll get weekly marketing videos, and those are complimentary. And you're serious about this, the starting place that I recommend is the Cracking the Physician Code course. This is a soup to nuts, step-by-step, how you start from no doctor clients and build the infrastructure of a physician-friendly practice. You can access this content as a home study kit, as a live web-based course. The next one begins March 13th, or a live 2.5-day boot camp where you come to Minneapolis and together we will create a plan. It's the identical content. The only difference is the amount of customization that you get. Yes, I can deliver talks to medical associations that you identify. I'm happy to talk with you about how to do that. If you decide that that's something that you want to do, I do have marketing materials that you can take to the medical associations. I have all sorts of books that you can give away as gifts. They're available as both physical books and as digital books. So, for example, you could go to a medical association and give them a digital copy of The Myth of the Rich Doctor and invite them to send it out to their entire mailing list. In addition, you can create custom versions of several of these ebooks where you have a custom forward with your name and picture and bio on the front and back covers. You will craft a forward that I'm happy to help you with. You'll create an afterword and a call to action. And sort of as part of that package, I help you do all of that. So you can do that with The Myth of the Rich Doctors or Get More Patients starting today. In addition, I have drip content, so you can license articles that I have written and send those out in your monthly newsletters. The advantage to having me write something is that my content gets through compliance a lot quicker and more easily than yours does. And by the way, The Myth of the Rich Doctor has sort of flown through every compliance department there is. So if you want to make a commitment to send out a monthly e-newsletter, this is great content to help you do it. I also offer coaching and mentoring resources, but none of these really address the main challenge that I think that you're going to face in 2018, which is this problem with the platforms. So I challenged myself, how can I help financial advisors open doors that are closed to most financial services advisors? How can I help people sort of harness the power of doctors' pack mentality? And how can I help people stay focused? Because, you know, the most successful advisors, they've got a lot on their plate. They've got a lot of stuff to already keep them busy. So how do you stay focused long enough to really get traction in the medical community? And so I have come up with the 2018 version of the Power Prospecting Package. This is a focused effort to help you get in front of doctors in the next 90 days. Now, this is not for everyone, but let me just describe what's involved here. There is a 28-day jumpstart program. So during week number 1, we'll help you find your focus. We'll define your business goals, and then I will point you in the direction of some groups of doctors that will probably help you get there the fastest. In week 2, we work on your expert positioning. So we craft your signature story, your story of why you're working in financial services, why doctors. We'll create a forward and afterwards so you can have custom versions of The Myth of the Rich Doctor and Get More Patients. We will sketch out a step-by-step marketing plan for you and a sales funnel. In week 3, the work's on us. At Targeting Doctors, we will identify the key physician opinion leaders in your local community. We'll identify the medical associations in your local community and your power partners. And then in week 4, it's lights, camera, action. We will create an on-demand video so that you can send this video link out to the power partners and the key physician opinion leaders. So you and I together will decide what the topic will be. We will write the script, so we will position you as the host who's inviting me on. I will deliver content. I will describe why they should be doing business with you. And then together we will craft a call to action. We will create a branded landing page so that somebody can sign up and exchange their email address for this link. And then in weeks 5 through 12, you will have all of this marketing material, and we will walk you through the steps of leveraging these pieces as marketing tools. So what you will get an on-demand webinar presentation and a landing page where somebody actually signs up to get it. You'll get a digital custom version of The Myth of the Rich Doctor and of the book Get More Patients starting today. You'll get a license for unrestricted distribution for 2 additional ebooks. You will get 12 articles that you can use in a monthly e-newsletter. and you will get my 3 favorite done-for-you marketing campaigns. So these are the tactics and scripts and templates to take these marketing tools and get them out in the community in a way that's going to help you build your list of prospects and clients. You'll get a custom marketing plan and sales funnel, and you'll get 6 months of coaching. Probably the most valuable thing is that you get exclusivity, because people who come into the Power Prospecting program will be able to go to the executive directors of association and say, hi, I'm partnering with Dr. Vicki Rackner, and together we are da 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 da. Well, I want to give people in this program the competitive advantage. And so I don't want 3 people calling the same executive director and saying, hi, I'm working with Dr. Vicki Rackner. I want that to be a unique relationship. So the people who come into the program get exclusivity so that they really get the marketing edge. And lastly, you're going to move really quickly. So this is for you if you're a veteran in the medical market and you just want to take the next step. It's a great program if you want to jump into the medical market and avoid this steep learning curve. And it's a great program if you want to take the fastest and most direct path to success. You will see the magic of saying, I work with Dr. Vicki Rackner. You know, I'd never really understood why it was so hard for people to get past the gatekeeper and get their phone calls returned, because I get past the gatekeeper and I get my phone calls returned. And then one day I realized, you know, when I say this doctor title, the gatekeeper listens differently. They think differently. And you will see that too. You'll see that closed doors will open, and you'll see that you'll get a different kind of result when you stay on track and commit to action. And this Power Prospecting program is all about this focus. Okay, so what is the investment? Well, let me ask you this. What's the value of getting the attention of an executive director, of getting past the gatekeeper, or getting your calls returned, of being perceived as a physician's partner and basically have a doctor tell other doctors why they should be talking to you? What's the value in not stumbling at the starting gate or the finish line? So you can certainly purchase all of the elements of the Power Prospecting package. They're all on the a la carte menu, and if you add them all up, it adds up to about, $12,500. However, I really want to help you. I mean, you've just listened to an hour presentation. You are clearly somebody who is motivated. So I would like to offer you a special promotional price of basically half off. So a single payment of $69.97, or if you prefer to break it down into individual payments, 3 payments of $26.97. I'll remind you that with this package, you avoid the need to invest in webinar technology, learn the back end of webinars, get a web developer to put a landing page on your site. You don't need a graphic artist. It's all included in the package, and you get this done now. All of my services come with an unconditional 30-day guarantee. So if you start with the Cracking the Physician Code course or the Power Prospecting program, and you decide that this is not for you, you get a full refund, no questions asked. So you have 0 risk. And again, I know that you're motivated because you are still here on this line. So I'd like to offer you some additional bonuses. Bonus 1 for the Power Prospecting package is that if you decide to join, in addition to getting the custom digital book, you will get 100 physical copies of the Myth of the Rich Doctor book, which is a $550 value. In addition, you'll be invited into the Cracking the Physician Code course, any version that you'd like. And bonus 3, I will deliver up to 3 complimentary live webinars for you. So if you go and find 3 local associations who are interested in maybe having me give the talk, The Myth of the Rich Doctor, I will deliver that for you on a complimentary basis. And the call to action at the end of the webinar will be some kind of way of engaging with you that we will discover. Just as a warning, I can only work with a limited number of participants. As you can see, this is very labor intensive on our part, and I can only work with one advisor in each territory. So if your territory is already taken, I offer you my apology in advance. Acceptance into this program is by invitation only. I am putting my reputation on the line, and I just want to make sure that we are a good fit, that we want to stand shoulder to shoulder, and that's something that you want to know from your end also. So I will remind you that you're protected by a money-back guarantee. If you're interested in learning more about this or finding out if your territory is even still available, please either send an email to info@targetingdoctors.com or text me at 425-451-3777. Again, I want to thank you for your participation in this webinar. I want to thank you for your attention. Most importantly, I want to thank you for the important work that you do. I have seen doctors whose lives have been transformed once they achieve financial security, once they know that they can retire. And often it's because of the hard work of people like you. So thanks so much. Bye-bye.